Okay, year 3. So this is part 2 of your science lesson. So you need to take a clean page and you need to write the date at the very top, just like you would in school. So it is Tuesday, the 23rd of February. My handwriting is not very good on here today. Oh, I'm going to rub that out. That's not very good. Bear with me a second. So, February. (2021), and you will underline that. I just can't on here because I can't use a ruler, but that's absolutely fine. So today we are looking at what different type of rock is there, and by the end of the lesson you are going to be able to describe the 3 main types of rock that there are. So your anchor skill is a year 2 materials recap, okay? So this is stuff you would have learnt in year 2, okay? And I know because I remember teaching half of you it, okay? So it is your year 2 materials recap. So you need to look at the objects that you've got down the side. So you've got an umbrella, a sponge, a football, a belt, and a bath toy, a duck. And then you need to match the description. So which one is absorbent, which one is opaque, waterproof, rubber, and leather. Okay. So I would give yourself literally 2 minutes to do that. If you want to pause the video and do that, that is absolutely fine. Okay, we're going to play a game of Spot the Rocks. So, in this picture, whereabouts can you see rocks? Now, obviously, you can shout at your device that you're watching this on, but I won't be able to hear you. So, I'm just going to point out some of the places I can see rocks. So, we've got some here, and then they go all the way down here. And then the path is made out of a rock, isn't it? You've got some more here and here, and there's even some down here. Okay. What about in this picture? Well, I know that the water isn't rock. Sand, is sand a rock? The grass isn't a rock, but I know that a cliff is definitely a rock, okay? Now, the next few I want you to just have a think about. Can you spot any rocks in here? Okay, let's call this picture 1. So independent 1. Can you spot any rocks in picture 2? And can you... Oh no, it's just 1 and 2. So can you let me and Mrs. Edwards know if you can see any rocks, and if so, where in these 2 pictures, okay? So number 1 and number 2. Okay then, so our new teaching. Today we are looking at natural rocks, and there are 3 types of natural rocks, okay? So you've got igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. And you need to remember those 3 names because they're going to come up every single lesson for the next 6 weeks. So you've got igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. We're going to look at each of those in detail now. So the first rock we're going to look at is igneous. And these are made far, far deep underground where the temperature is hot enough to melt rock into a liquid. Okay, so underground it's really hot and it melts pieces of rock into a liquid. And that's called molten rock. Igneous rocks are formed from molten rock, okay? So igneous are formed underground. So let's just write underground. Okay, and you've got intrusive igneous rocks and extrusive igneous rocks. So when it stays underground, when it stays inside, it's intrusive because the magma cools, becomes hard, and it's igneous rock. However, sometimes this molten rock can come out of the ground in a volcano, and it is called lava. When that lava has escaped and cooled down, it becomes an igneous rock, but on the outside, So it's external, which means it is extrusive. So they form underground and they can either be intrusive or extrusive igneous rocks, okay? Then we've got sedimentary. Sedimentary rocks form under the sea, and that's quite easy to remember because they both begin with an S. So they form under the sea, okay? So what happens is bits of rock end up in lakes and rivers, and we know that all rivers lead to a sea, okay? So the river moves and it transports and takes these little bits of rock and puts them at the bottom of the sea, and that's called sedimentation, and that's where these rocks get their name from, okay? So little bits of rock travel down the river into the sea, and then over time more layers pile up and press down on the bottom layers, and that's called compaction because they become really compact and tight, okay? And then over even more time, in between those layers, water is pushed out, okay, and it's called cementation, okay, like cement, cementation. And that's where salt compounds, so little bits of salt and water in the sea, glue the bits of rock together so they form a solid layer of rock, and that would be a sedimentary rock. So the bits that come out from between the layers that escape and have been glued together by salt compounds are now a sedimentary rock. Then you've got metamorphic rock. And metamorphic are made from igneous or sedimentary rocks, okay? So they are made from the igneous or sedimentary. Okay, that's what they're made from. So they don't just form from being near magma, okay? So an igneous rock, let's just look at this illustration here. It shows how an igneous rock near magma is being heated and changed. So can you see here? It's being changed because it's near heat, okay? And that's underground, isn't it? So that one is underground. However, you've then got a sedimentary rock. Oh, I didn't want to change all of that colour. That's annoying. Let's see if it will let me do it this way. Yes, it will. Then you've got this one, which is your sedimentary rock, and that's under the sea because you've got the sea here, okay? So that's the sea. And the tectonic plates can make these rocks, but also it's being pushed down on by the magma, isn't it? So can you see how it's changing here? And these arrows show that, okay? So a metamorphic rock is when igneous or sedimentary rocks have been changed due to pressure or heat. And we'll learn more about those later. You can then have human-made rocks, okay? So what I'm going to suggest you do is pause the video and read this. So human-made rocks are anthropic, okay? You can get concrete, mock rock or bricks, okay? So I'd pause the video and read about those now. A quick fact or fiction for you to have a go at. So are these statements true or false? True is they're a fact, fiction is they are false. Okay, challenge 1 for you today. You need to name the 3 types of rock and describe them. So what I would do is, oh, I didn't want to do that. Don't draw a random line on your page. Okay, let's have a look then. So name and describe the 3 different types of natural rock. So I'm going to write this in sentences and I'm going to say, there are 3 types of natural rock They are called and then you can tell me what they are called. Then I would misalign and I would give the first one. So let's talk about igneous first. So, igneous rocks are. And then maybe just tell me where they're formed. So, are formed under ground. And then you can go back, okay, to all about the igneous rock on here. Okay, so you've got the flip chart and they are all the information is on there for you. Now, some of you might naturally complete challenge 2 while doing challenge 1, which is absolutely fine. So challenge 2 is to explain how they are formed. So I would say, if we did sedimentary, so sedimentary rocks are formed underneath the sea. And then I would just talk about those 3 steps. So I might say little bits of rocks are carried down the river into the sea and start to make layers. Over time, more layers are added. Eventually, water squeezes out through these layers and with salt compounds glues bits together to make sedimentary rocks, okay? So that's all you need to do for that part, is just explain those rocks. There is another YouTube video on the website that will help you if this has been a bit confusing for you, which I completely understand. Okay, so challenge 1, name and describe the 3 different types of natural rock. Challenge 2, explain how the different rocks are formed. If you've got any questions at all, send me or Mrs. Edwards a quick dojo message and we can help you as much as we can. And I'll be back next week with another